How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just initially wanted to ask about team news, any new injuries or anything we should be concerned about?
No, Millie's still out. Elena's still out. Melanie should be back for the bench tomorrow. That's about it.
Lovely, thank you. Upon reflection on that game against Arsenal, I know we put it behind us, and you said post-pattern press conference that I guess the only good thing was the 20-minute drive home. But
Yeah.
I guess now in hindsight, a couple of days later, were there any pointers you could take away for that into this game?
Well, actually, it took me 19 minutes. So I think shaving a minute off, that was the real extreme positives of the weekend. The team has dealt with it. We've dealt with it in our own camp. We've been here before. We've lost the game. We haven't lost the trophy. We haven't lost the title. We lost 3 points. We move on.
In previous games, you've shown resilience and I guess bouncing back from those defeats. You did it earlier last season when you lost in the opening game. How important is that coming into this game against Hacken?
Yeah, like I said, we've dealt with it. There's a lot of experience in our dressing room and everybody's ready for this week.
Okay. Coming up against a team like Hacken, I guess their last fixture was the most recent Champions League game.
Yeah.
So how has that been preparation against a team, I guess, that doesn't nearly play as quickly as you?
No, but we've seen the way they've played in the Champions League and the league. We know that they'll cause problems, particularly in transition. Very atypical Swedish team in the way they defend in a 4-1-4-1. They'll make it difficult for us to have the inside of the pitch, so we have to have variety to our play. I know the team has switched on, trained really well today, and our focus is all on tomorrow evening.
Hacken have proven that they don't necessarily focus on possession so much in the game, defending well throughout it. I think they conceded 21 shots on targets in that game against Paris FC, but they were able to convert their 6 shots on target. So they proved to have a lot of patience and resilience, especially defensively. How much of a challenge is that going to be?
I think they just proved their efficiency. They've been a very efficient team so far in the tournament. Had a good period in the Champions League, but our focus is on ourselves.
Lovely. I wanted to ask you, I guess, about Lauren James. We saw that Chelsea put out a statement condemning all the racial abuse that she's experienced online. It seems to be a thing that you said that the performance of the most recent game was a whole team performance.
Yeah.
What has it been like talking to Lauren and I guess supporting her and seeing the abuse that you see online?
I think it's disgusting, the amount of abuse she's received from the public, from the media, from the press. We're talking about a young player here that, no question, is always working to learn in the background and bits and bobs, but some of the language I've seen used to vilify her externally, I think is unacceptable. I don't see the same level of abuse attributed to other players in the league who might have had their own challenging moments, and I think it's fair to say that if I'm in her position, I'd be thinking that there is racial profiling going on, and I think it's important for the country to recognise she's an important talent and she is learning all the time and she makes mistakes. But I think some of the derogatory and very misleading conversations that are happening during the commentary, during the games, on social media is something that everybody should reflect upon.
Is it frustrating to see, because I spoke back to Lydia earlier on, Lauren James first spoke about the racial abuse experience at a time at Manchester United. That was such a long time ago. Since then she's been at Chelsea and it seems to be a recurring pattern for her.
Other players can make difficult moments. There were probably other very serious card incidents in the same game, but we don't talk about it in the same way.
Lovely. Sam, just quickly from you, I wanted to ask, I saw on the drive home, I guess a bit of banter against the fans. Tell me a little bit about that, and I guess a lot of rivalry that you have across the league and the bantering with the fans on the drive home.
Oh, look, I think it's good. I think that is what the women's game has missed for the last 20 years. I love now that, there's 60,000 people, whatever there was on the weekend against us. I think it's amazing for the women's game, and anyone who knows me personally knows that I do all these things on a daily basis. I love to just have fun. Like, you could see me smiling, and of course I hated losing and I hated the performance on the weekend, but at the end of the day, this is football,
And you stated a fact.
Hannah Hampton said to me today, "Gosh, you're such a wind-up," because I was stirring her all day. But look, I think it's great for the women's game. It happens in the men's game, and I think it was funny by the Arsenal fans. I couldn't hear them, luckily. We had some music on in the car, but I've seen the video now and heard that they were doing their Arsenal chant. But it's good for the women's game, I think. I'd much rather that drive down the street and get heckled by some Arsenal fans than drive down the street and have no fans. So I think it's good for the women's game.
Yeah, and I guess it's healthy competition amongst. You see it like just Arsenal fans heckling you, but equally you see Chelsea fans heckling the other players as well.
Of course, I think it goes both ways. I think there's always a fun side to it, but like Emma said, when it crosses the line, it's obviously not great. But I think good rivalries like that are good for the game and make the game more enjoyable. I mean, I'm a football fan too. I love watching my favourite team and love watching my not so favourite teams lose too. So I'm just like them. I would be in the same position if I wasn't playing football. I'd probably be at a game saying, boo to Chelsea or boo to Arsenal, whoever I supported. But I think it's good for the game, and you need that rivalry to grow the game.
Looking ahead to this game against Hacken, your last Champions League game against Paris, you got an hat-trick. So I guess for you, it's important to get on that score sheet and bounce back. I know, especially from the most recent game.
Yeah, I think, we don't lose a lot here at Chelsea, so whenever we do, there's always a motivation to want to bounce back. And it was difficult on the weekend, and I think I'm really glad that we have a game on Thursday. I wish the game was today. I wish we had a opportunity to, get one back after the weekend. But no, we always know that we have to bounce back, and I think that's the beauty of being at Chelsea, is that there's a game every 3 days, so you don't have long to, I guess, sit on things, win or lose.
Lovely. You mentioned post-match after that Arsenal game. I guess the last couple of months have been quite difficult with injuries and stuff. How are you feeling within yourself now coming into this game, and I guess looking ahead to the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better every week, honestly. I'm still working, I'm still trying hard. It's been different, to be honest, but I'm enjoying it. I feel like I'm getting close now to my best, and obviously the performances will hopefully follow. And like I said, I've been scoring, I've been helping the team, and it's been different. Normally I have a pre-season or tournament under my belt, but I didn't have that this season, so it was a different start to the year to me, but I'm enjoying it. We're still top of the league. I don't know where we are, second in the Champions League group with the opportunity to go top, so it's not all doom and gloom. I'm excited, and I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Much luck.
Thank you.
Did that really?
Yeah. Question for Emma. Wants to ask you about your Johanna Rytting Kaneryd.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about her season so far and her development since she arrived here from Hacken?
I think it took 12 months to settle in, not through lack of effort, lack of trying, but improving her decision making and execution, and building that confidence. I think to compete in a team like ours took a while, but she's shown more consistent behaviours in all of those things. She would agree with me as there's another level to go. I think that she's been contributing to many more goals this year, including scoring at the weekend. She's very conscientious, very determined individual to keep improving, and we're really happy with the progress she's making.
Yeah, she's not that young, is she? So how far do you think she can go?
There's never a ceiling, ever, for any of them. So I expect players, if you want to play at the top clubs, you have to keep improving. So that will be for her entire time she's here.
Just a question on Hacken as well. You obviously talked a bit about it, but maybe a bit more detail. A lot of people are very surprised that they've come this far in the Champions League or been doing so well. What has impressed you the most?
I think very resilient defensively, tough to break down, and very clinical. They take their chances, especially in the transitions. I think you have to be switched on, particularly from set plays, very good from throw-ins. And like I said, we've prepared in the best way. We only had 1 day preparation time, but we're used to doing this, and we don't take them lightly.
Sure. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about Lauren. It's very easy to sort of dismiss online abuse as just being some loser sat behind a keyboard. And we know Lauren is very strong, but this stuff takes its toll. Like, how is she?
No, she's not in a great place. if I'm honest. I think when it starts from broadcasting and the way they speak about things that maybe they need to reflect on, labelling players. She was a young player, she made an error in the summer. Of course, she has to keep learning those things, but they aren't done in like single segments. It's always ongoing work, and sometimes some of that you can have really good moments with it and sometimes not. And when I say she's a young player, there's nothing consistent in some of those things that happen, both in terms of performance and outcomes. But my job as a coach is to keep teaching her to find those levels of consistency and keep challenging her on the important things when, of course, every opponent tries everything possible to get Lauren red carded. That's been clear in every game we've played. And she has to learn to handle that. She has to learn to do that. Because when she gets antagonised in a certain way, managing emotions comes with maturity, and that isn't there yet with her. But as I say, it reminds me very much of David Beckham in many ways when he got red carded in the World Cup. I think the treatment of Lauren sometimes is very similar, and I think we have to realise for a young person in a day and age where social media is unbelievably vitriolic, some of the nasty language and labelling and name calling I think goes over the edge, to be honest with you. And then you add racism to that for her, you can understand why her mental health is not the very best place this week.
And with regards to online trolling, for want of a better term, it feels like a conversation we keep having and we keep going around in circles. What more needs to be done? Because it seems to be that every time a high profile incident happens with a player, you sort of expect that there will be some form of online backlash, and that shouldn't really be the norm.
No, but my advice to players are, you play in a game, and if there are controversial moments, delete all your social media for a period of time. I can't control social media. My job is to influence them, and that's my advice to the players. Delete it. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. Anybody on Zoom? Cameras on, here we go. Jessie.
Just a quick one on Millie. She's obviously been unavailable for about 2 months now. What exactly is the issue then?
Right now she had the flu. She was back and she would have been in the squad at the weekend. She pulled out in the morning of the game. She came in today, she was ready to train today. She still doesn't look 100% with me. And while I said to her, I can list her in the squad tomorrow and she could be on the bench, we feel maybe it's in her best interest to be available for the weekend and give her 3 training days, knowing she's been in bed for the last 5 days. Everything else with regards to a little bit of hamstring, adductor issue, all of that's cleared up. And like I said, I'm pretty certain she would have featured at the weekend if it wasn't for a bit of illness.
And just another one. Obviously, in the Arsenal game, you ended up 2 goals down, and it feels like over the past maybe 2 seasons or so, there have been a couple of moments where Chelsea have gone 2 goals behind. It's obviously a very small sample size, but is there a concern around their ability to get back into those games? I think the last time Chelsea came back to get a result, having been 2 goals down, was a 3-3 with Wolfsburg in the Champions League group stage. Is that something you guys have talked about or thought about at all?
I think from your small sample size, if you do a bigger piece of research, I would say that's probably indicative of most, if not every, football match. So I don't think it's a Chelsea problem. One, I think, it's a game. We lost 3-0. We're not sitting here talking about any loss of title or anything else. We'll be measured by where we are at the end of the year.
Thanks, Jessie. Dan, next, please.
Hey, Matt, hope you're well.
Hey.
I think if Erin Cuthbert plays in the game, I think it's a 40th European appearance in the Champions League. So I just wondered, she's one of the first pieces of the jigsaw, this team, I suppose. But yeah, how have you seen her grow in the team over these last few years?
Yeah, I mean, Erin still has a lot to learn, but she is a player that's acquiring experience. I think she's already proving herself a very good counter-pressing player. the next steps for her is to make sure she makes better use of the football in the middle of the pitch, in her decision making and execution for the next steps. So that's the challenge that I've put to her, because she's got a good basis to build on, and the expectations from me is that she kicks on another level. But, you know, she's certainly a very fiery competitor who wants to keep proving herself, and I look forward to watching her play tomorrow night, particularly given the team's performance this past weekend.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Emma. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Last question from Jamie. Next, please.
Hi Emma, Sam,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
Just a quick one for you, Sam. Just wanted to ask, obviously with the absence of Millie Bright coming in, you've stepped into that leadership role. It's something you're not unfamiliar with at all. But how do you look to, you know, bouncing back from that game from Arsenal, instilling that Chelsea mentality back in the girls heading into such a big Champions League fixture tomorrow?
I think everyone in the team, I mean, no one needs motivating after the weekend to bounce back. I think we're all top professionals. We have like, I don't know, something crazy like 6 or 7 national team captains in the squad. So no, it's not up to one individual. It's not up to Emma. It's up to ourselves and as a collective and a team. But you know, we know that we have to bounce back. And I've said many times before, like, we're Chelsea. We've been here before, and we will bounce back. And we're not going to let one loss, although it did hurt, derail us or, you know, get us down for too long. We have a game that's super important. 3 games actually in the next 10 days that are super important, and one game, although yes it hurt, it's not going to derail us. We've been here before.